it is important to get to know our history here. For centuries, our people have been hunting this area. Elk meat and deer meat is like a staple. It's like the staple that should be at the table. Life without these animals would not be the same.
This time of year, what we'll find is a lot more elk activity. So the elk are in rut or towards the tail of rut, so they're during their mating season. So we might encounter some elk that are bugling, that are fighting or moving their cows around. The section we're in now is set up just for tribal members. Oh, there are a bunch of rubs back there. That's bull rubs all over down here. You could see evidence where the antlers were making contact with this tree behind it and then looking all the way up too. You see the branches are broken. You can see some of the tracks, some of the imprints right down in here. You can see some of the dirt's disturbed right here. That's an elk. Looks like it was heading this way. Yeah, I think this looks like the trail. The wildlife program's been around since the early 90s, and their principal purpose is to help manage the wildlife within the tribal landscape. So that's the deer, the elk, the predators like the cougars and bear. And so they use science to really help us identify what's going on in our environment, which helps our biologists and our hunters to make sure that we have sustainable herds, that we can have our children and their children's children be able to have this same resource that we have, which has been a resource we've used for thousands of years.
Wildlife Department here at Muckleshoot keeps track of the populations of deer and elk in the Cedar, Green, and White River watersheds, as well as the goat populations.
Mountain goats in Washington State are not doing very well. It seems to be there's a lot of decline when you survey other areas of the state. So Mount Rainier is a little unique because it's a huge area of habitat for these mountain goats, and it's not hunted.
Yeah, we're doing mountain goat surveys on Mount Rainier. Nobody knows how the population on Rainier is doing. So we want to go count and see if the population's decreased from the last estimate in 2007. You know, we like to base our management on science and data. So we do these surveys so we know what's up there and outside of the park, what the populations can sustain as far as hunting. It's probably some of the most rugged terrain in the state up there.
These mountain goats have been in this area for thousands of years, and they are a very important animal to our culture. The population of the animals is important.
This survey, this project is just one of many projects that we do here at Muckleshoot Wildlife.
We're doing studies on them. We collar elk, we collar deer. We take a look at their migratory patterns. We take a look at the habitat they're utilizing while they're migrating.
The wildlife program's goal really is to just continue the perpetuity of these animals and their populations. So these animals can be around for the unforeseeable future.
We've had a a lot of interest in the population of those animals out there and protecting, you know, not only the goats, but all of the species that are related and keeping a balanced approach to it. You know, with co-management between the state and ourselves and other tribes, I do believe we've seen some successes here. The wildlife for Muckleshoot has always been a part of life. As a young man, it was taken away pretty much from the tribe. At that time, you was going to get arrested. We needed that food, and they were saying, no, you can't go get it when you need it.
Before we started our hunting regulations, we've had a few of our tribal members arrested for hunting up here. Game wardens were harassing tribal members, and as years went on, the Muckleshoot tribal members were actually trying to get caught by a game warden, just to go prove that point again, give them that reminder, we do have the right to be here, we do have the right to hunt on our land here. I always say that the tribe has the right. Us tribal members, we have the privilege to exercise the tribe's treaty right. And I think that's an important piece for our young generation to understand.
Muckleshoot has always been proactive in the research side of what's going on in the terrain here, on the landscape. And that investment is not only with people's time, but with money and resources that, you know, we feel is very important to the people to maintain that resource.
We've got tags, just as the state does, that allows us to harvest that specific number of animals. And that's to make sure that we don't overharvest. We don't want to deplete our resources. We want to manage them.
Our very first regulations, a lot of folks did not agree with it, including myself. But I knew why it was being created, but I had to learn and understand that I got to stop thinking about me and start thinking about the future.
This is where, you know, our family was many years ago, long before I was even around and long before I was born. And now to be able to be in the same spot doing the same things is beyond empowering. It's a sense of duty, it's a sense of purpose.
You have to have respect for this nature. You have to have respect for the animals. We have to live like our ancestors lived to be able to retain all of our cultural information. That's part of how this continues on.